Today we are talking about cross-generational relationships, age gap relationships.
How do you make them work? How do you not strangle your partner when they're not paying attention to you and on their phone?
I'm checking
Constantly.
my notes. I'm checking.
Constantly.
Okay, you go ahead and roll the opening. Hello, and welcome to
What's the safe word?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today,
we are talking about age gaps.
yeah, mind the gap, please.
We have a big one.
Yeah, it's big.
Big. Huge.
Age gap, cross-generational relationship. I've seen X-gen. Whatever you call it, it is when somebody is in a relationship that has an age gap that is substantial or larger than the norm.
What is the norm?
Exactly. The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
This has been going on forever, especially in straight relationships. You know, the trope is that the man leaves his older wife and to go after and chase the younger tail.
From Sarah Paulson to Beyonce and Jay, there are so many age gap relationships within social media and pop culture. Even Billie Eilish dated someone 10 years older than her.
Not Billie Eilish. Is she a drag queen?
You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy. So today, we're going to answer all of your questions from our threads online.
And we're going to use our experiences that we have in our 20-year gap relationship that we've had for the last 10 years.
And what better way to start than this question from Merch that asks, did you specifically want to be with someone older/younger, or did it just work out that way?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think we planned this, right? As a matter of fact, when I first met you, I thought you were too young and ignored you for a year.
So to answer the question, I was the one that was actually pursuing him.
Yeah.
And in a lot of these relationships, people always assume the older person is like,
Chasing the younger. Yeah.
quite the opposite, because I was at a point in my life where emotionally I was pretty mature for my age, I think. No, what? Yeah, no, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
ignored you for a year because you were so young.
I know, blew me off, didn't text me back. Thankfully, I'm patient, and I was coming out of relationships myself, and it just happened to work out that we could put up with each other enough that we were able to form a proper bond.
It wasn't put up with each other. I thought you were, once I got to know you, I thought you were super smart and you were super hot. And we didn't actually enter into a boyfriend dynamic, which really worked for me, especially I was coming off of an intense relationship at the time. And so we did a daddy-puppy relationship, and that really worked for me at the time.
I dated tons of people from 18 to 24 when I became sexually active, and they were all my age, didn't really love the vibe of them. They were immature, I didn't get along with them, and so I did start dating older guys, and I found that as the gap grew, their maturity level also did. And they were set in their ways, they had everything that they liked kind of set in stone when I was just becoming a little bit more adventurous myself. It provided a place where I was able to have someone who was a little bit like a mentor, but also a lover that I got along with.
And I think that really helps those types of dynamics in that the older person can share their knowledge and life experience with the younger person, and then the younger person can also teach the things that the older person no longer knows because they're not keeping up with current events. But actually, when I was your age, I always was into older guys too. 10, 15 years older than me. I liked that manly, masculine man look, and I was like a kind of skinny twink.
The next one from Hungry Luppy says, Beavis and Butthead laugh. Gap.
You said gap.
Okay. Grow up! And if somebody online has an issue with you, this next question's for them, because Scotty asks, my hubby is 18 years older than me, and the question I get a lot is about daddy issues. And I just say, and? let me clear it up for you guys, okay? It's only an issue if somebody else is gonna project on me. Mine's a daddy subscription.
And daddies are hot right now, so.
The next question from Plowboy
I have that t-shirt.
asks, 15 years for me, and I'm the younger one. What differences do you notice between you and Mr. Christopher that you think are down to purely the age gap?
Ooh, there's so many.
References, memes.
Anything that's on the internet, video games, toys, D&D.
He will post something with no context and just expect you to know what he wants you to think or what you're talking about online. I find that your approach to movies is different. You definitely like a classical movie, something with like a black and white tinge to it.
Okay, no. What your idea of a classical movie is, the 90s is not classical, okay?
No, the 90s had color. Yeah, you're right. We can agree on that one.
And that's where most of my movies come from, are the 90s. But yes, we find that we have different references all the time. And the trick is not to shame the other person for them. So like for me, I can't be aghast that he doesn't know a certain movie star like Danny DeVito or Parker Posey, or seen a movie like Torch Song Trilogy, which are classics that every gay queer person should have watched.
What do you mean? I love Danny DeVito in... What is Danny DeVito in? Fuck.
See? So it's a matter of finding what each other's references are.
And because of that gap, we do show each other different things that make us activated, things I enjoy, things that I'm a part of a fandom of. He watched Doctor Who recently, had no idea what was happening, but enjoyed that Jinx Monsoon was in it. Level play.
And it's always important for the younger generation not to roll their eyes when the older generation doesn't know something or has an AOL account.
You've got mail.
Exactly.
Next question. The next question from Borbro, similar, asks, what do y'all talk about? Do you get each other's jokes and references?
No.
Sometimes like, demure, what does that mean?
Mindful and demure. It's a meme that some girl did on Twitter or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night?
Like seatbelts, everyone? From like the Magic School Bus. Seatbelts, everyone!
Seatbelts, everyone!
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good.
But we get to share these memes, okay? They're called callbacks. For him, it's lived experience. For me, it's retro.
For me, it's juvenile.
Or how about this next one from Flint that asks, as someone who is also in an age gap dynamic, as well as being polyamorous, I find people think it's unconsensual or the younger person was forced and coerced into the relationship. Have you ever seen or heard this as well? We've seen this all the time online, or at least someone who lives online has. And for me and us, I was the one that kind of chased him and waited until he was comfortable with a relationship with me. So it doesn't actually apply for us. And as far as assumptions go, the anonymous coward says, do you get tired of people assuming that you're a gold digger?
Well, A, if I had any gold.
B, remember that one dinner we went on a long time ago where it was a nice dinner, a very nice restaurant dinner.
You were taking me out for my birthday.
Yes, for your birthday. And it was this nice restaurant. We were dressed nicely. It was a few years ago. And the waiter comes with the bill at the end of the meal and promptly goes and hands it to you.
To me.
And so I go, eye contact. I've got it. And he was just like, I'm so sorry.
Very flustered.
I thought that he was your and this was... I said, no problem, here you go. It was very clear that he thought that we were either father-son or this was a gold-digging relationship where daddy was gonna pay the bill. That's not how this relationship works.
And that's a common misconception with older, younger generations, is that the older person is going to pay, or is the sugar daddy, or paying for the younger person to be with them.
You also, did you get my invoice?
Yeah, and I ignored it.
Bitch, what?
Thankfully, today's sponsor, Hello Tushy, is paying those invoices, keeping our lights on, and minding our gap.
And if your gap needs cleaning, try today's sponsor, Tushy.
Making sure your gap is clean. Put that on the t-shirt for Tushy. I feel like we should call cross-generational relationships or like age gap relationships gapping.
Gapping.
Gapping. No? Gapping.
Can you be gapping at a Fisters convention?
No, that's gaping. If you've never heard of Tushy, they are an at-home bidet system that takes literally less than 10 minutes to install.
How to put this shit together.
And I know
story.
that because I watched you try to do it, and you don't like reading directions. And even with that in mind, all it took was a screwdriver, a little bit of patience, and just a little cup to catch some water in if there was excess water from your toilet.
Which I was very skeptical.
But instead of wiping endlessly or wasting toilet paper, this will not only change how you clean out, but just change, well, your underwear game, as well as how comfortable you feel after using the toilet. And just in time for March Madness, Tushy has now released the brand new Aura, an electric bidet with auto-open lid and seat, instant warm water that never runs cold, and even UV sterilization for next level hygiene. It attaches right to your toilet, and it needs no additional plumbing, removing 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier. Ooh.
So, if you would like to have some happy underwear as well as a happy butthole, every Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and 12-month warranty. It's risk-free, and you can join over the 3 million real pooping humans who have made the switch to a cleaner and more confident butt. By trying out Hello Tushy for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off the entire order with offer code WATT at checkout. That's 10% off your order at HELLOTUSHY.com with promo code WATT.
Thank you, Tushy.
For sponsoring today's episode. Please check them out in the link down below and let them know that we sent you, because then they know that you're supporting us, supporting them. But that does lead us into an entire chunk of this video, which is going to be the challenges of age gap relationships. We've seen it, we've gone through it, we've lived through these struggles of people projecting on us. So let's get into some more deep questions about that. And this one comes from Buck Carter. Oh,
Hey,
God, not this little slut. Who asks, what would you say are some of the unexpected pitfalls of being in an intergenerational relationship? What are some of the difficulties that arose because of the age gap that you didn't expect? Maturity differences.
Can't wait for you to explain that.
No, I don't need it. I don't think that one needs any explanation. Some of us are serious, some of us are giggling through a very serious topic.
I think also history. I think that there are lots of things an older generation takes for granted that the younger generation is just going to know automatically, especially when it comes to adulting things. Taxes, investments, life insurance, home insurance, all the things that when you're at a certain age, you've been doing over and over repeatedly, but a younger generation is just doing it for the first time.
A thick 401k is so hot. So hot. But I agree. I learned a lot from just life experiences through dating you and in our relationship, because you've lived through a few of the hardships of how life treats you, and also you've been through a few of the really daunting big paperwork tasks that come with being an adult. So
if your house burns down, what are you gonna do? If one partner gets sick and dies, what happens? So even having wills with a younger person was a shock for you.
there's definitely, especially in the kink and BDSM realm, power dynamics that come into play.
Power.
And while geronophilia is absolutely a kink for older people, that's not why I'm dating him, you know? And we're not just having casual sex, this is a relationship where we depend on each other.
He's just dating me because I'm hot.
And that thick 401k. Ooh.
I wish I had a 401k.
You don't even have one, do you? I have a 401k.
You have one. Sugar puppy.
But I think the biggest challenge, at least for us, are the different phases that you go in through your life. When I started dating you, I was just kind of getting up and running in the business corporate world, getting high power jobs that I was, working through, getting my life together, 401k. I was at a point in my life where I was ambitious, and you were at a point in your life where you were set in your ways.
Tired.
He had a house, he had a mortgage, he had a full-time job.
I had already gotten there.
Yeah, and I was just getting started. And I always found that I didn't like dating the younger guys. I liked someone who was a little bit more stable, but we were still at different points in our lives.
Yeah, you had a lot of energy. You had a lot of young puppy energy.
Had?
Well, now you're old. Now you're on my level.
Get off my lawn!
From health and safety concerns at your different age levels to even some family dynamics at times, there's a lot of challenges there, which leads into Ecstatic's question really nicely, who says, how should one navigate the power gap?
Power gap.
So this is maybe where a bit of the kink and the relationship stuff kind of blends. Our power dynamic, our power exchange in that gap, we navigate it when it's in the bedroom, and that's power dynamics in that regard, that's in the bedroom. Versus when we're out and about, it's very much couple dynamics. We're on the same playing field. When
Either one, you're in control all the time. Don't let him fool you.
When thinking about that power gap, there's a lot to consider. Your personal maturity levels between the two of you, societal perceptions and how they're living their life, as well as their overall dynamics and where they are within their life at that point.
Also, don't forget that also power dynamics in the bedroom can be separate and should be separate than your everyday life.
Correct. We are on a very level playing field in our everyday relationship. In and out of the kink dynamics, it gets very different, but that gap fluctuates and changes because we are two adults that consent and communicate, things change and grow, and over time, we haven't stayed the same in the last decade.
No, rarely do two people grow in the same direction at the same time. And so when you allow the other person to grow in their way and you still maintain that commonality of love for each other and allow that growth, you're going to stay together for a much longer time.
And you might even meet each other's families.
Oh God.
Which is one of the biggest challenges I see online.
Is the biggest challenge we had for sure.
And
Bitch, what?
I'm interested to unpack this next question then, because this next question from Trading Places says, I'll just go ahead and ask the obvious question. What are the challenges regarding meeting the parents? I'm sure that at least one of the partner's parents are most likely to still be around. And when this question popped on my feed, I said, obvious question. Wasn't obvious for me. I date
that was
people.
the first thing I thought of, and that was the problem I had. And I got it from both parents. So my parents thought I was going through a midlife crisis. They accused me of quitting my job, getting a new car, and a hot young boyfriend. So you were my midlife crisis. My dad literally told me that. And I was terrified of meeting your parents because your parents are barely older than me. So I thought, okay, they're going to think I'm cradle robbing their son.
And for me, it wasn't even a thought because my parents have always been supportive of you are who you are, you love who you love. And I've had boyfriends of different ages over the years, from kids my age when I was 18 to 24-year-olds to 30-year-olds to 35-year-olds. I guess I kind of trained my parents.
But we lucked out on that one because I don't think a lot of parents would, and to your parents' credit, they were very accepting of me and the age gap was not an issue with them for some reason. But I hid in your closet once when your parents came over when we first dated because I did not want to meet them and I was so ashamed of it.
Shame that is put on you by society. There are studies that say that these kinds of relationships actually do have better communication, they grow better, and we trust each other deeper. But the times that those cross-generational relationships don't work out generally is because of shame put on them by society and family. Otherwise, these relationships work out really well when people are properly communicating and on the same page.
So just don't tell your family.
No, that's not what we're saying. Honestly, the biggest challenge is how people are going to project on you is what started this entire discourse and video, as well as a number of topics online that I've seen recently. I think the critique and the commentary is valid in many cases, and when people are honestly looking out for someone that they might think, oh no, they're in a relationship that's disparaging, that's always projected by somebody else.
Yeah.
If people are in relationships where they're happy, they're stable, they're clearly having a good dynamic with someone that is beneficial for both, and they're of legal age, who cares?
It's no one else's business.
I personally do understand the cringe or squick factor of someone who's newly and 18 still, dating someone that's much older and who has lived their experiences. Having fun, sexy times where you're learning to do new kink things is a valid experience to do with someone who's older and more experienced. Dating someone before you've even gotten out of college and been able to let your brain fully function, you know, that's where I get a little like, I'm not gonna stop you, but like,
And I think there's younger people in your generation that is looking for older people to take care of them.
Yeah. Which leads us to another chunk of this episode about the benefits. The benefits. And the first beneficial question from that anonymous coward says, do you enjoy the benefits from his companion AARP card?
You know, I always forget I have that. I never use it. I need to use it more. Actually, I told you, when you get tickets for the movies, I'm half price now.
Who ends up paying still, though, huh?
You.
Who ends up paying?
You.
Exactly.
And you could be saving money. You forget that.
Because we need that. All of us.
No, but seriously, there are lots of benefits to different viewpoints and different generational views. And one of them is you keep me young. If I didn't have you, I would be in bed at 9. I wouldn't know what's going on. I wouldn't know who this Chapel Roan is. I wouldn't know anything going on. And you keep me young.
And to that counterpart, you make me older. You age me every day. Lots of wrinkles now. No.
Why am I old? Why am I fat?
For real though, the benefits do outweigh the negatives, I think, most cases. Not only have the studies shown that people in gapped relationships have more satisfaction in their relationship, but they have more diversity. And they have a more diverse friend group as well.
Oh yeah, half of your friends are very pleasant to be around.
I love all of your friends.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. What's also great and beneficial is your partner keeps your secrets.
Don't put me on camera.
And even studies like these that looked into a large number of age gap relationships say that there's greater trust, commitment, and less jealousy in 3/4 of relationships studied.
Oh, that makes sense because you learn to adapt to your other partner's energy levels. So, for instance, I'm so happy to let you go out and party your ass off late into the night.
And I'm happy to let you nap at home because you're tired. Yep. And if you don't get a nap,
I get cranky.
Yeah.
Grumpy daddy.
If there's ever an episode where he seems off, he did not make time for himself to take a nap.
Or you scheduled it way too early during my laptop.
We started the shoot at 1 p.m.
That's my nap time. When do you think nap time is? Nap is midday.
Somebody's getting a little cranky.
Put me down for
You need your bye-bye. And within the benefits, I do want to tackle this question that actually asks, is it possible to make one work out well? I have just turned 60, so it feels like every man I'm attracted to is way younger than me.
Yes, absolutely. You can make it work well. You just have to find the right personality for you that doesn't drive you crazy.
I think it's also important to differentiate sex and relationship within this, because age gap relationships can involve just sex. You can just have someone who you get along with, and I think that's perfectly fine. Get the fun, sexy time to someone more mature who's got a lot of experience, and it can be just that, or you can get the relationship as well.
But just saying that all relationships come with their own problems. So we're not saying age gap relationships are better or worse. We're just saying, like any relationship, it's going to depend on you and the other person and how you guys adapt to each other.
And according to them, especially when it comes to queerness, older-younger pairings between adults are an important part of the cultural life of gay and bisexual men's communities, says Tony Silva, assistant professor of the sociology at the University of the British Columbia and co-author of Daddies of a Different Kind. So especially in queer communities, it's important to have these kinds of relationships. But the dynamic of why queer people get in relationships generally do rely on stability, wanting to connect with someone, and the fact that we do love mentoring and mentorship relationships, whether they're long-term or just for BDSM. Even them says, interchangeable pairings are not a uniquely queer phenomenon, but have the tendency to form romantic bonds with a broader age range. According to a 2021 census study, same-sex spouses are more likely to have large age gaps, with 5% who were 20 years or more apart, compared to the 1% opposite-sex couples. So queerly, we have those kinds of relationships more on the whole. How about this question that really pinpoints one of the benefits of being in a gapped relationship in the kink community? Heavy Stud asks, when you are in your 30s and horny, 24 hours in a monogamous relationship with a 60-year-old daddy that all he wants is to Netflix and chill, how do you deal with that? Asking for a friend. Get a puppy.
Netflix and chill with him till he falls asleep and then sneak out and go party.
Just get a puppy. Get a puppy player. Get a little pup that'll he'll take care of you. He'll snuggle with daddy. The polyamory is wonderful. Or how about this last chunk of questions, which are specifically for us and partly our relationships? Molcott asks, just recently started dating someone who is younger. I'm 32 and they're 25, and I always feel a little strange. So this question's for Christopher. I guess, do you ever lose the awkward feeling like you're too old for your partner?
I love that they think 7 years is a huge gap. Sometimes I do feel like I'm too old for my partner, and then other times he reminds me how he loves me unconditionally, and it makes me just want him even more.
Aww.
That being said, I have found the ages from 24 to 28 is where people are most changing in their adult life. And they're going through a lot of new decisions and discoveries about themselves, and it's really hard to keep up with that. So I kind of have a cutoff of 32. You were the exception. That's not everybody. And under 24, they haven't even discovered who they are yet. So that is going to be a huge challenge in any relationship.
And let's counter that with the question from Strap Throat Goat, who asks, as a younger person, how do you make sure the older person isn't preying on you? Do you worry that there is a reason that your partner isn't with someone at their own age?
Ooh. That seems a little shamey, but...
The question is not for you, it's for as a younger person. They're asking me.
Okay.
Again, I pursued him, but I did ask about his dating history, his background, his kinks, what he's into. I made sure that I was, we were very much collaborating in all ways, shapes, and forms there. And it just so happened that you were also great on camera as well. And I never forced you on camera, but I honestly think that our relationship did not have any preying in any way, shape, or form. We were mostly just feeling each other out for the first couple years, and then we eventually were just like, oh, is this a really serious thing? Is this thing we're doing this? And we were mutually just like, yeah. I never perceive you as preying, and I mean it's loving, really. And if it is prey, it's like pray? Oh.
I'm not religious.
And I'm never worried that you're not with someone your own age because we are open and poly. If you want to have fun with somebody your own age, great. If you want to date someone, awesome. As long as we're on the same page about it.
And this is why checking their dating history is really important, because what you'll find out is an older person will have gone through multiple partners, made many mistakes with each partner, and then learned who they are from them. So if they're not with someone at an older age, it may be because their other partners didn't work out, but they now know what they really want. They may be at the most stable point of their life.
And I think we'll leave it on this last question today to find the common grounds and the differences in Hunter's question that says, a lot of people could use some advice on how to navigate the younger partner being in a constant state of change and growth while the older partner has more firmly established patterns. Let's leave with some advice and say, how do we find the commonalities and grounds when I'm constantly changing and you might be a bit more firmly set?
Just do what the older person says, and you won't run into any problems.
Compromise.
Yeah.
Communication. Being able to understand that you are at different places in your lives. Sometimes you will say something with a very certainty because you have lived through this thing or experience or process.
And I don't want to explain it to you.
And you do, though, have to explain a little bit more because you meet me halfway. And I, in my own, like, oh, ooh, ha, hee, ha, excitable, like, everything's so fun, have to stop myself for a second, listen, and do take in what you say. We find a common ground in the things that we talk about. We breathe. We try not to sigh or roll our eyes. And we communicate. I feel like that's a cop-out for so many things that we talk about. Communication. It's also listening and being able to comprehend what it is your partner is saying so you can find the commonalities between you guys.
No, but having patience and understanding is a big part of letting a younger person find their way and find their path and make mistakes and
download LastPass for them so they don't forget their passwords. And you share some accounts, but you make sure they don't...
Yes. But also, keep in mind, the older generation hasn't figured it all out yet either. So they're going to learn from your experiences as well. So don't put it on them that they know everything, even if they come off that way.
Don't let the older generation get off your lawn. Be a bit more open to changes. And to the younger generation, listen, slow down, hear what they have to say, because a lot of the times they're talking about lived experiences with a very good set of advice.
And both generations are guilty of thinking they know it all.
So that's where we're going to end it today, and we hope you didn't mind the gap, but you did mind that everybody's relationship is different and works in their own ways. And because every relationship is different, it's always important to have a safe word. And today's safe word is...
mind the gap.
Because this train is running. Let us know what you guys think of cross-generational relationships or gapped relationships in the comments down below. What do you think the perfect age relationship is?
And if you like ringing bells, ring that bell. We're not sure what it does.
And don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk at you next time. Bye-bye. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon if you want. You get a lot more content, you get some spoofs and goofs that don't make it into the episode, and you get video versions of our podcast that you get to listen to every week.
Literally every single week.
Every week. Daddy
you will see our intergenerational arguing and bickering.
Doesn't know what
to your
anything is,
heart's delight.
And it's updating him on the internet.
Oh,
it was so much fun.
Teaching this one history.
Woo! I wish you would.
I do all the time.
I'm ready. Here, give me a lesson.
God.
Best lesson ever.
I'll have time for this.